what's happening, everyone? Pragmatic Addict here. I'm joined, of course, by Jacob. So, what an episode.
Yeah, that was a heck of a ride.
That was a fucking blast. These episodes, we have, I think, quite a bit to say about these. When I saw the plots for these episodes, I was probably the most excited I have been yet for this entire season. So let's just get this out of the way. The first episode is Sad Boys. The second one is called Are You There, God? It Is Me, Beavis, which is obviously a parody ripping on the coincidentally movie that is out right now in theaters, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. So without further ado, guys, let's just jump into these episodes because I really don't want to waste any more time. So the first episode, called Sad Boys, it opens up, and I'm just going to say when it opens up, I was immediately like, yep, there's the boys. So this episode opens up with them in school, kicking some lockers. Nothing new, just Beavis and Butthead kicking a couple fucking lockers. We don't know whose, and we don't know why. But while they're kicking these lockers, they notice that there is a boy sulking around in the hallway, and a girl walks up to him, starts comforting him. And they immediately jump to the conclusion, wow, Beavis, don't you see? If we're sad, we'll score. So basically where this episode goes on is that since they are at school, it shows them back in class. They obviously go out in that classic Beavis and Butthead fashion where they're very monotone and very oblivious and very forceful with just the idea of something. So they're like, okay, let's just go off with this idea, not really know how to deliver it or execute it or make it believable. Let's just do it as it sounds, and hopefully we'll score. Which, yes, basically this next scene shows them in class, and Butthead just kind of stands up saying, yeah, this makes me sad in this class, and obviously Beavis is there. Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I have a lot of emotions right now. And then, you know, obviously Beavis, or Butthead standing up, looks to the girl next to him. Hey baby, I'm sad and stuff. And obviously with them being in Van Driesen's class, with Van Driesen being Van Driesen, he's like, okay, I think that you guys might be depressed. I'm going to send you to the school counselor. With obviously them being absolutely determined to get laid from this, the counselor is saying, well, how sad are you guys? How long has this been going on? To what extent is it? Are you guys, you know, participating in self-harm? Which obviously they think, well, the further we go into this, the more chicks she's going to recruit to help us. Yeah, we're sad. Yeah, we self-harm. So basically, from there, this counselor is just like, okay, well, these boys obviously need all the help they can get. I'm going to send them to a CRC, which is where we get teased in the episode. We see them participating in shock therapy, and we also see them joining in a self-help circle where they're all grabbing hands, talking about their feelings, all that stuff. So basically, once they get to this hospital, I'm just gonna say things in order. First off, the wardrobe for these boys, them in the scrubs with the little grippy socks, might be my favorite wardrobe yet of Beavis and Butthead. And trust me, there is a lot. But from here, they are introduced to the shock therapy, which the doctor is kind of giving the rundown of it, saying it's a stimulation, which obviously just from that word alone, they're like, we've done it. This is a stimulation for pleasure. But before we get to that iconic scene, which I'm just gonna call it spoiler, iconic fucking scene. Yes, we see them joining the circle, grabbing hands, and there's not much to take from the scene except I will say this. Butthead absolutely steals the scene. How he reacts to it, what he says, it's just one of those scenes where it's like, it's very quick. It's not necessary in the sense of like, we needed this, but it works in the sense of how they react to it. But yes, going from there, we see the shock therapy scene. Now, I just want to say something really quick about this. When I saw this in the teaser, like, clip of the episode, before I saw the episode, I was like, okay, why would they do this? Obviously, this doesn't feel good. This is not a woman. Why are they doing this? Basically, what ends up happening is when they're in there, unsupervised, Butthead puts it in his pants.
These must go here. Okay, Beavis, turn that knob thing.
Okay, yeah, cool.
On 3. 1.
All I'm gonna say is that for as bad as that sounds, for as morbid as we have come to morbidly enjoy out of Beavis and Butthead causing pain to themselves, how this ends is probably one of the most memorable endings of a Beavis and Butthead episode I have seen in a long time. And this episode, it just delivered to me. This is obviously a positive review for me.
This one, I'm definitely gonna give it a 7. It was pretty funny.
I don't know where I'm at right now, because I gotta kind of think a little bit, but I think that this might be my favorite episode so far of this entire season, which I do want to say really quickly. Another thing that kind of helped, I think, move this episode to a really well pace is that we actually didn't get the typical cutaway halfway through the episode like we're used to. I think that was great. I think that it definitely helped make this feel much better pace. It made it feel much more consistent. And the cutaway, it just kind of felt like a good intermission, I guess. Which, talking about this cutaway, I will say this. It even felt classic. This whole episode with its cutaway, the cutaway for what they're commenting on, for how they're delivering it, it's very savage, it is very ruthless, and it's very inappropriate to that fashion where it's just like, okay, just have at it, boys. We totally get it. Just this whole episode, it felt like not much different than what a classic Beavis and Butthead would have given us back in the day. Like, there was times in this episode that I was laughing my hardest, I think that, in the very least, I have in this entire season. Maybe some of the hardest I have in the whole revival up to this point. So this next episode, Are You There, God? It's Me, Beavis? What a fucking intro. So I'll say this, how this episode delivers, but also how it starts, it completely caught me off guard for where a lot of this episode, I would say up to the very end, how the episode was as its premise, completely loved it. How it delivered in its narrative and its setup, completely through the roof on that. So basically how this episode opens up is we see Beavis praying on his knees over his couch to God, saying that he's been feeling some strange things about his body lately, which this is kind of an interesting layout. What I was teasing is that this is actually a narrative piece. The whole episode is basically through flashbacks with Beavis narrating the episode as his prayer to God, which basically we are flashback to him in, I guess, a sex ed class, and what Beavis is experiencing, he's thinking in it as his body's feeling weird because he's going through changes, puberty, because just coincidentally they just happen to be, again, participating in a sex ed class, which is what really happened is that after class, he sees a skunk, thinking it's a cat, goes to pet it, and fucking mauls his ass. So Beavis is actually experiencing the stages of developing rabies. Now that alone, that's what I want to talk about. An episode alone with this idea, Beavis experiencing rabies, and how they deliver that, absolutely iconic. We've obviously seen both these episodes teased in the trailer, and there were some of those scenes, like the Kraken one in the recent episode, where I was just like, give me this now. Both of those ideas, how the episodes deliver on those plots, absolutely fantastic. It did a great job. But here's what I'll say is that as the episode, just as a narrative piece, how it's laid out, throughout the entire episode, really, I just didn't know if I was really feeling it. But I will say how the episode wraps up, it actually kind of addresses that, where it's still in that fashion where I was like, whatever. I guess it's fine. I'm happy that you address, this is probably a little bit weird. I was happy that you were self-aware of that. But really, just this episode, its premise, that's really all we wanted. And that's all that mattered, and that's all that the episode really delivered on. Which I will say, one of the parts in this episode, my favorite part, also probably one of the hardest I've laughed in this entire season so far. So we basically see the boys sitting on the couch, like they always do, except Butthead sitting in his normal fashion, where Beavis, his legs are propped up like this, and he's snarling, and he's foaming at the mouth. He's looking all vicious, his eyes are all red. Basically, Butthead is completely oblivious to it. He's just kind of like, Beavis, would you shut up? Beavis turns his head snarling, where Butthead's just kind of like, dumbass, you're getting drool on my side of the couch. Goes to smack him. Beavis, being someone who has rabies fucking obliterates his ass, and it was something that, as an execution, again, with that Beavis and Butthead morbid humor, just overall, I could see myself coming back to this episode. And overall, while I do feel like the narrative, again, kind of got me, and I feel like it was addressed enough, at least to the point where it could have been, because of that reason, I am feeling a positive to mixed review for this one, but overall, again, this is an episode that I can see myself coming back to.
I really thought it was funny just seeing Beavis acting all like he has rabies, but it cuts back to him praying to God.
Which reminds me that I do want to bring something up. The cutaways between Beavis praying and this happening, I'm like, wait a minute, how come he doesn't have rabies now? How come he's normal praying, saying, God, I'm experiencing weird things about my body? It's like, okay, maybe it's because he's developing rabies, but if he's acting like that, why would he be normal in these It was just a weird setup. It was just very weirdly, paced. But again, as Beavis and Butthead's, lovable classic, shenanigans, the morbid humor, just the absolute self-deprecation of this cartoon. Yeah, this is probably more or less my favorite one of the entire season so far. But yes, guys, that is going to do it for our review of episode 6 of Beavis and Butthead. Oh my god, what a great episode. I am so looking forward to more Beavis and Butthead after this. There's obviously more in the trailers that we're looking forward to, the ones where they have kids and everything, the one where they're going through acupuncture. There's more that I was really picking out from the trailer. I was like, I want to see those episodes, which I'm happy that they're kind of seemingly saving those for the end. But yes, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here with Jacob. Look forward to more reviews, guys, coming this week. I have a couple reviews that I'm planning throughout this week. I got one coming in the next day or so. I have a couple screeners coming throughout this week as well, which I'm very looking forward to talking with you guys. But yes, guys, with all that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys once again, as always, for joining us. We will see you guys in the next one. Take care, and let us know what you thought about the episodes, as well as the review down below. Thanks a lot, guys.